Good morning, students. Today we will discuss the calculation of national income, and it is a part of national income accounting. In our previous concepts, we have seen that what is OAS, what is COE, what is mixed income, what is NFIA in our last classes. Today we will start to learn the calculation of national income. Calculation of national income. The only thing that you require, you should remember one formula by which you will calculate national income, and the first very formula that I have taught you, that is the conversion formula. With the help of these two things, we can find out the national income. Now, there are three methods of calculating national income. One by one, we will discuss all the three methods. The name of those three methods are income method, expenditure method, and the last one is value added method. For calculating the national income or related aggregates, we are having these three different methods. One by one, we will see how to calculate the national income. Very first method, that is the income method, we will be discussing right now. In this method, we calculate all the income generated in a country within the domestic territory by the normal residents, and that is known as the national income. Now, how we will do this? What is the formula that will be used to calculate the national income? You have to remember this formula. Simply, this formula goes as NNPFC equals to operating surplus plus compensation of employees plus mixed income and net factor income from abroad. See, NNPFC, it means national income. National income is the sum of operating surplus, compensation of employees, mixed income or mixed income of self-employed persons, and net factor income from abroad. The sum of these four togetherly will give us the national income. Now, this operating surplus is made up of three elements. That is the rent and royalty, or royalty and royalty better, interest and profit. If in your question operating surplus is given, then it's all right, we will take the operating surplus. But instead of operating surplus, in some of the numericals, we find the rent, royalty, interest, and profits are given. In that case, you have to add rent plus interest plus profit plus royalty in order to arrive at operating surplus. And this operating surplus is the first element of an NPFC. Second, now one more thing I would like to make it clear, that rent, royalty and interest, these two, rent and royalty and interest, these two togetherly known as property income. Property income. That means rent plus interest. In most of the numericals, we don't, many times we don't find any royalty. But if royalty is given, it will also be included along with the rent. That means rent plus interest plus profit in general is the operating surplus. Now this rent and interest, or rent and royalty and interest, this is known as the property income. And this profit, that is the last part of the operating surplus, that is known as entrepreneurial income. So simple thing, operating surplus is the sum of property income and entrepreneurial income, we can say. It is the income, nothing else. It is simply the income which is earned either by the property or by the entrepreneurial risks. So property income, again, it is the income of the land and income of the capital, and entrepreneurial income is the income of taking enterprises, taking risk-taking return, risk-taking income is known as profit, and that is known as the entrepreneurial income. So this is the first component, operating surplus. Let us focus on the second component, that is the compensation of employees. This is the second component. COE it is known as. This operating surplus is known as OS, operating surplus, OS. COE is the compensation of employees. Now, what is here you see, we know that we are having 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and enterprises. Rent and royalty is the income of land. Interest is the income of capital. Profit is the income of enterprises. Now, one factor we have not mentioned over here, and that is the labor. Because labor is the only active factors of production in the process of production, and we have kept labor in another category and we have named it as compensation of employees. Compensation of employees, or COE, has got the following components: wages and salaries in cash, wages and salaries in kind, contribution to social security scheme by the employer. Again, by the employer. Employer is the most important word. Often in the numericals, it is given contribution to social security scheme by employees. You will not take it. That means in the calculation of compensation of employees, you need wages and salaries in cash, plus wages and salaries in kind, plus social security contribution by employer. If COE itself is given in the question, we have not to add these fragments, these components, and it will simply be the second component of NNPFC by income method. Now the third one is the mixed income. Mixed income, or in your question you will find it as mixed income of the self-employed person. It has got no component at all. A person who is earning his own, who is not working under certain employer, then he will be, whatever he is earning, that may be termed as mixed income or the mixed income of the self-employed person. And the last component, which I have already discussed in our last class, net factor income from abroad, which is known as NFIA. This from word is very important. Net income from abroad, net factor income from abroad. In order to calculate net NFIA, we do this factor income from abroad minus factor income to abroad. So from minus 2, you have to keep it in mind, NFIA means from minus 2, not 2 minus from. Factor income from abroad minus factor income to abroad. We will get NFIA. If you are doing factor income to abroad minus factor income from abroad, you will get net factor income to abroad. Remember, there are two things: net factor income from abroad. You can write NFIA like NAFIFA, NFIFA. This is net factor income from abroad. And if it is net factor income to abroad, NAFITA, then it is to abroad. Now you have to be very particular while doing the sum, whether it is from abroad or it is to abroad. If in the question to abroad is given, suppose net factor income to abroad is equal to 20. Net factor income to abroad it is. What it is given? NAFITA. Is 20. It means NFIA will be, NAFIFA will be NFIFA or NFIA, as I told, NFIA will be simply minus 20. So, in some question, so after getting the question, you see whether it is in the question, it is NAFIFA or NAFITA. You require NAFIFA, net factor income from abroad, and that will be added with OS, COE, mixed income, and NFIA. And if we add these four components, we will arrive to NNPFC, that is called national income. Now, what happens in the question, in the board exams or in the exercise, often it is asked to find out GDP, MP or something like that, or any related aggregates, GDP or any related aggregates, we are required to find out. In that case, what we will do, I always suggest my students, you first calculate NNPFC by the method used. Now, the question says find GDP-MP by income method. So NNPFC they are not asking, they are asking GDP-MP. So what we will do, we know the formula to calculate NNPFC. So in the first step, we will calculate NNPFC by using this very formula. And then in step 2, why step 2? Because the question says you are required to find out GDP-MP. It will simply write step 1, calculation of NNPFC by income method, and you use the formula NNPFC equals to OAS plus COE plus mixed income plus NFIA that I have explained right now. And this is the end of the first stage. Here, your work is not finished because the question says you are required to find out GDP-MP. If the question says calculate national income or NNPFC, then your work is done. First step is enough. You have not to go for the second step. Now step 2. Use of conversion formula to obtain GDP-MP. Now just refresh your memory, recall the formulas that you have learned in my earlier classes. I have explained it in details regarding the conversion formula. It is GDP-MP we are required to find out, and from NNPFC which we have already calculated, so we will write NNPFC. So GDP-MP equals to NNPFC. From net to gross you have to move. Net is given when you calculated NNPFC, that means you are knowing what is net. From net you have to make a journey to gross. And what you have to do in this case, you have to add depreciation. Just recall the conversion formula that I taught you on the first day. Next, from second N means national, and D stands for domestic. From national, you have to move to domestic. National is a bigger concept. Domestic is a smaller one. So we have to subtract NFIA or NAFIFA. NFIA and NAFIFA are the same thing. And the third one, we are given with FC, factor cost. We have to move to market price. Factor cost is the smaller concept. Market price is the bigger concept. From small to big. If you want to move, you have to add something. And that missing link, remember, I told that it is NIT. Now this NIT, in the question, NIT figure, you may not get the NIT figure directly. If it is not given, you have to calculate NIT is equal to indirect taxes minus subsidies. Indirect taxes minus subsidies, that this will be NIT. So, in order to arrive at GDP-MP from NNPFC, conversion formula says that you have to add depreciation, you have to subtract NFIA, you have to add NIT, and you will get GDP-MP. Likewise, any macroeconomic variable or any related aggregates can be calculated from this NNPFC by using the formula, the conversion formula. So two things you have to remember in income method, calculation of income method. The first one is NNPFC is calculated by the formula OS plus COE plus mixed income plus NFIA. OS, that is the operating surplus. OS consists of property income and entrepreneurial income. Under property income, the items are rent, royalty and interest. Rent and royalty is the income of land. Interest is the income of capital. And profit is the income of enterprises or the risk-taking ability, income of risk taker. So these three will give us again operating surplus, compensation of employee, what a laborer earns. Labor is a living factor of production and most active factor of production. We have put this labor in another category. This is COE. It consists of wages and salaries in cash, wages and salaries in kind, social security contribution by employer. What is social security contribution by employer? We will learn in the theory paper. Right now we are focusing on the numerical side of the national income accounting. So the sum of these three will give us the compensation of employees, which is the second component of NNPFC or in income method. Third one is the mixed income, or in your question you may get the information as mixed income of the self-employed person. It has got no component at all. It will be either mixed income or mixed income of the self-employed person. And the last one is NFIA या NAFIFA, factored income from abroad minus factored income to abroad. Next, I told you, after doing so, we will calculate, we will get NNPFC. Once we got the NNPFC, now we will see what is asked in the question. If the question requires UDPMP, we will go for the step 2. And in step 2, we will use the conversion formula, which I have taught you earlier in the first class of National Income Accounting. So this is the income method that I explained today. And now I will like that you go through the problems of income method and feel free to ask if you face any problem in solving to me. Okay, that's all. Good luck.